This time on Roadkill, it's the Death Metal Charger, a 2JZ engine swap, and all the woo you can handle. Woo! Woo! Yes!
Hit it!
Oh my God, it sounds so crazy. Band is back together.
Yeah, it is.
Good to see you.
Boom!
Dude, behind us, death metal. Remember that Charger? We are here at KSR Performance in Gainesville, Florida, and we are going to Toyota 2JZ swap the death metal Charger.
It's gonna be awesome. Bucket list stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is not the Super you wanted.
No. That's really not even the Charger I wanted, but it's what I could afford. So let's talk about the history of the death metal Charger. This is a 1968 Dodge Charger that a farmer named Joe Barry bought after it was wrecked. And it got wrecked shortly after it was built in 1968. He spent the next 2 or 3 years turning it into what would be a car he could compete in NASCAR with. Problem was, by the time he finished the car, his wife was unhappy about the money he spent on it, and so he never drove it. It just sat in a barn. Then he sold it, and for the next 50 years, this thing was in hiding in various barns throughout Indiana, eventually landing on eBay. Guy bought it, sells it to me. Tony Angelo and I, for an episode of Roadkill, swaps that big block 383 Mopar in it with a Tremex 6-speed manual gearbox, and then we make the mistake of road tripping this thing from Georgia all the way back to Indiana to show it to Joe Barry, the guy who first built it. Let's just say he was not thrilled, and he had no desire to ever ride in this car again. After that, we filmed an episode of Faster with Finnegan where we went dirt oval track racing in this. We added a sway bar, which is currently broken, and we turned like 30 laps without stopping, and this 383 is wore out and it is tired. So we're here at KSR Performance to swap in the wrong motor in the right car, a 2JZ. We're gonna turbocharge it, we're gonna put it in here, and we're gonna see if we can make more power than what this thing makes right now. What does it make? I have no idea, but we're gonna dyno test it right here to find out. So that's Kevin Smith, he owns this place. Pretty much Renaissance man, fabricator, tuner, driver, wins at everything at life, pretty much wakes up in the morning and pees excellence, which means no matter what happens here, that engine's probably gonna make more power than it's ever made.
I'm just gonna make 298 wheel.
You think?
Yeah.
Only one way to find out.
Good luck.
We're gonna stay over here.
Yeah, this pole right
Nice
here.
and safe.
This'll stop a drive shaft, right?
Any idea what gear's in the back of it?
488.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can run it in 4th gear then?
Yeah.
All right. Fire in the hole.
Yeah. Hey, it started. All right.
It's not gonna look nice.
No, can you imagine? Those tires have not been balanced. The wheels probably aren't round.
They're not. Look at it. Look at it.
Ah, not that bad. Please don't kill me.
Runs awesome.
That was better than I thought.
Sounds great.
That was really better than I thought. 325.
I got it.
Wow.
There you go.
I still want to take it out of the car.
And actually, maybe even still climbing.
It sounded like it was happy.
So
That
that's
surprised me.
325, 350 foot-pounds of torque, basically.
That'll do.
I'd rather just start taking it apart, to be honest.
Let it cool down. Let's tear it apart.
All right, sounds like a plan to me.
Bye, Felicia. 2J time.
They store this at the bottom of a lake.
It looks perfect for the car, though, because that is the worst Charger ever. And I bought the worst 2J you could get, non-turbo. So the reason we got the good Motec ECU is so we can have all the torques down low with the variable valve timing.
As bad as it looks, it's still gonna be awesome. Promise.
So we're gonna do cams, head gasket to drop the compression, and turbos. You ready?
Yes.
Take this.
Uh-huh.
Take that. Just get it out of the way. Just scratch it.
Just scratch it?
Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Now we can work.
All right.
Oh, well, it's got a dead plug wire too.
Dang.
We can't. Just throw the whole engine away.
Are you just breaking these as you pull them out?
So here's what's going on. This thing made 325 to the tires. Good, but not great. More importantly, it's dirty. So we gotta get rid of it. We're gonna put a 2J right here where this goes. I don't know if it fits. I don't know how much work it's gonna be. I don't care, there's very smart people here. So we're gonna get this out of the way. Then we're gonna bolt our Tremec trans to the back of that new 2JZ, swing it in there, kind of dangle it and go, yes, this fits, keep going. That's what's gonna happen.
This thing's got entirely too many cylinders. You might notice a giant fan behind me and behind him and behind everybody else here.
I am a fan of yours.
We are in Central Florida, but yeah, it's hot here. I feel like I'm inside a dog's mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's what it feels like. It's gross.
This is the worst Charger you've ever seen in your life. Front to back, rust. Joe Barry did whatever he could using junkyard parts to build this car for a set of rules that no longer exist. Rule number one, you had to have a full floating rear end. So he went to a junkyard and got a rear end out of like a 49 to 53 Willys Timken truck. Now this rear end, you can't get parts for. You can't upgrade it. It has 488 gears. The car is so bad it doesn't matter what I do to it, which is why I have no problem swapping that big block Mopar for a 2JZ with a turbo. All right, so full disclosure here, it's Monday. We need this running by Thursday night so we can dyno it and hopefully do burnouts by Friday. Not because we're gonna lose the shop, just because the shoot's over. We've come to KSR Performance here in Gainesville, Florida, obviously to do the swap. Kevin is an amazing fabricator, tuner, driver. Tony knows his way around a 2J, same deal, killer fabricator. We also brought in J Mar from Real Street Performance down in Orlando because they sell the speed parts you need to turn a crusty old 2J like this into something that makes sense to swap into a 68 Charger. Jay's gonna school me on how we can mod this so that it will safely make
more. These engines have the same basic block, whether it be a turbo or an NA.
All right.
Steel crank, either way.
Okay.
The connecting rods and pistons are different in the NA engine.
Okay.
So is the combustion chamber and the head gasket.
Okay.
So we're gonna cheat a little bit by using the twin turbo head gasket, set of aftermarket camshafts from Brian Crowder in it, which is gonna help it breathe quite a bit more without adding stress.
Okay.
We're gonna use a modern turbocharger from Precision. We've got some EBA components for the intake and the exhaust. We've got a proper Remotech ECU that we can run it with that can run that variable cam.
Okay.
For those of you that don't know this engine, it's essentially the small box Chevy of Japan. It came in many, many cars. You know, if you can make an LS work, you can make this work. It's not a very complex engine. Probably the trickiest work is just the valve springs are small, the locks are small. You're kind of fumbling your fat fingers in there to get all that stuff in and out easily.
I think you just called me fat. Fine, fine. All right, so same old story here on Roadkill. Really nice parts going on a really crusty engine in an even crustier car.
Hello.
Easy there, easy.
Well, we're gonna get the cam sprockets off first.
Oh man, I've never taken apart a motor with two camshafts. This is exciting. They're so simple too. I mean, this seems complicated. There's two camshafts, but the whole thing is just so small.
A lobe rubs on a shim that opens a valve.
No lifters.
All that comical madness that happens between a lobe and a valve in a pushrod engine.
All the spinning and bending and
this
deflection.
is all just happening. It's all good.
We are working really hard at stripping the 2J down. We have both the intake and exhaust cam out, and right now Jay is going to change all the valve springs with the cylinder heads still on the engine. And here's an interesting tip for you. When you remove the keepers and the retainers, you have to find a way to keep the valves from falling into the cylinders. So we have got a hose with an adapter that threads right into the spark plug hole, filling the cylinder with air, and then he's going to use this spring removal tool to compress the spring, then remove the keeper and the retainer, and then take the valve spring off, all while keeping the valves in the closed position. For those of you at home that are wondering, why are we going through all the trouble of changing all the valve springs? It's because we're changing the camshaft. And your cam profile ought to match your valve spring pressures so that you have accurate control of all your valves. If you don't control your valves and they're kind of bouncing on the seat and opening when you don't want them to, that's when things go bad. Usually when Tony's behind the wheel. Not saying it's his fault, you know, that'd be a mismatch of parts.
What's up?
Hey.
Hey.
How you doing, friend?
How we doing here? You guys done yet? You got 25 left to go or whatever? How many total are there? Quick, quick. How many are there? How many are there?
6 times 4, 24.
There you go. Ta-da! All right, you got a couple of things left to do. Number 1, pretend I'm going Mach 7 in this thing and run through the gears. Sliding on the dirt, it's gonna be sick. I gotta take the shifter out, drive shaft, trans mount, engine mounts, and then yank hopefully the whole unit out at once.
Up we go.
Whoops. Try to pull it out while I hold it up.
Starter?
Yeah. I might swing it like this.
Hold on.
Sweetness. Nice work. Wait, look, how many guys did it take to do this? Let me help.
Hey, you feel better about yourself, don't you? Me too.
I'm helping too.
Me too.
I'm helping too. I loosened it for you. Appreciate it.
Definitely, definitely.
All right, here we go. Let's take it out.
All right, that's not gonna work because you gotta go up 2 more inches and we're already caving in the firewall. How did we get this in there before?
I don't know.
Was it motor and then transmission? Because like, oh yeah, I see this is all cut out. I bet you that's what you did.
We were so much younger then.
Well, we can put the whole thing back up in the air and just pull the trans out. Let's try this again. We cannot get the engine and the transmission out at the same time, so now we're gonna remove our T56 from our engine separately and then pull the engine out from the top.
We're ready.
Look at that.
Hello.
That was kind of easy. Why did we not do that to begin with?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, yeah. You're almost there. There you go.
Beauty.
Pissing all over the floor.
That looks heavy, man. It looks very heavy.
She's a beauty.
Let's drop it on a scale.
I'm going to say 595 pounds.
I'm saying 533.
Kevin?
560, 570.
Oh, you lose. Oh, keep going. Hold on. Keep going. Keep going.
That's it.
581.
581. I lost.
Let's do it again with the car.
It's 3,100 pounds, I bet.
3,100. You say 3,100?
3,100.
2854.
2854?
32.
32, I say 31.
I'm going heavy. Oh, I missed by a ton on that one. 27.
Wow, it's way lighter than I thought it was.
What did I say? Right about there. There it is.
What did I say?
All right.
27 even. We were all over.
All off.
All right, Big Block 383 is out. Right now, Jay is cleaning up the deck and the head surface in preparation for a new head gasket. And in the meantime, we're going to borrow Kevin's 2J. So essentially, this physically looks like mine. So we're gonna weigh this and compare it to the 383 we just took out. And I'm gonna say 490 pounds.
469.
469.
475.
Whoa.
Well, we were all wrong.
So even after we turbo that 2J, we're saving weight.
400 pounds dead on the money. You got probably 25, 30 pounds in a turbo.
Yeah.
Pretty heavy manifold.
We're gonna shave 100 pounds off the nose of the car. Oh, God, it's gonna be amazing. Dude, that looks so wrong. I love it. Look at this.
It's in there.
Oh. And granted, that's not our motor. Ours is over here in pieces. Jay's working on it. But tomorrow, install our new clutch, mount the trans. We're doing good. I feel good. So we're gonna go eat.
Let's go. I love it.
Good morning. It's day 2. You know what that means. New sweaty shirt. Yeah. I'm outside cleaning the engine block for 2 reasons. 1, this oil pan will not fit in our chassis. We have to take it off. And it's filthy. I don't want to take it off filthy. Not because my hands are going to get dirty. I just don't want any of the filth in our, used motor. And for 2, you really couldn't read 2JZ very well on this side of the engine block. So I'm going to clean that. There you go, 2JZ. Look at you, shining bright in the sun.
Between Jay at Real Street and Kevin from KSR, we have every known configuration of oil pan for the 2JZ. Front, mid, rear, sump. But even with all of that, we still have to knock some space out of this Charger K-member. So what I'm gonna do here is just yank this 2JZ out of the way, take the platforms, the perches, and just plasma cut them off so we have a nice base, hopefully enough room to fit this thing in.
Bye-bye, nice, clean, solid motor. Well, the other motor, we're ready to put the head on it. And so by the time the manifolds and stuff show up, we can just swing the actual one in there.
Okay, let's get rid of this then.
We've cleaned this thing up. The next step is gonna be to put a new head gasket that should drop our compression ratio a bit, make it a little more friendly for pump gas. Then we're gonna put the cylinder head back on, camshafts. But I have questions before we do all that.
Okay.
Okay, let's just say a guy at home doesn't know a lot. With a stock block, what can he get out of that?
For a stock block, if you have it properly tuned and you're using the right fuel for the boost level, you just do a stock turbo engine, because this is an NA engine and the pistons and rods are different in the turbo engine. But a stock turbo engine, you do cams, valve springs, and then just feed it boost and good fuel. You can have one of these things live just fine around 1,200 horsepower. We went 6s with a stock block, but you'd go 5 or 6 runs and the deck would deform.
Head gasket's leaking.
Yeah, head gasket leaks.
New camshaft. This one came from Brian Crower. You can see how much more duration Brian Crower's camshafts have. The lobe is wider right there. If you look at this one, see how pointy it is? Very sharp right there. This is much wider through the middle and the very top of the cam, which means it's gonna hold the 4 valves open longer. The longer we hold the valves open, more airflow, more power. And then once these are in, valve cover goes on, we put a new oil pan on it, start swinging this thing in there to mock it up for motor mounts.
So it's time to swap the oil pan, which is center sump, which is what we need, off this much nicer 2JZ to the dirty, rusty, awful looking one that Mike's gonna use. This one would have been originally, I think, in an SC300, so it looks like it's gonna fit the best. Look at Mike over there, reading stuff like a secret agent case over there. He's got secret formulas in there, some kind of serum, maybe microfilm. Who knows what comes in that case?
Our 2J is about ready to go in. Before we can put it in the car, though, we want to hook our transmission to it. And we are repurposing our T56 Magnum that used to be behind that big block Mopar. It is now going to be adapted to our 2JZ with a QuickTime bell housing, and we also have to replace our clutch. So what we're going with is a Mantic twin disc clutch. This is made in the USA. It's the same stuff I run in Blasphemy, my 55 Chevy. It basically feels like a stock clutch. Like your left leg's not gonna get worn out using this, and yet tons of clamping power, more than we need for this 2J in its current form. And should we ever turn the wick up on it, we can add a third disc, we can change the material of the disc, we can rebuild this thing, and we'll be all good.
Ta-da! All right, so the best way to adapt your T56 to a 2JZ is with a QuickTime bell housing. It's got it all sorted out for you, and it fits on just like that. Slam the clutch on, we're done. This is the Mantic flywheel. It's short for Romantic. Now we're gonna mate the clutch to it. That's why they call it Romantic.
Ready?
I'm ready.
So the way you want to do this, people at home, is you want to tighten one a little bit, then go across.
Oh yeah.
Then go across, then go across. Do this all evenly, and when you're done, these fingers should all be the same height.
Yep.
If they're not the same height, it's not in there right.
Make sure you give this a little wiggle, center it up before you even start.
We got the clutch, all the bolts are torqued. The discs are in the correct way. And we're gonna bolt these two together. We're gonna swing this in the car, and then we're gonna eyeball how the motor mounts need to be and call it a night.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's definitely not one to go in, is it?
No. Whenever I have this problem, it's because the clutch discs are not lined up, but
That seems like that's through the clutch. To me, that seems like pilot bearing.
Yeah.
So we need to like hold this down.
Here's the situation. After carefully measuring all of the clearances, all of the gaps, all the diameters, this should go together with this. The tool slides in and out. It's on us. We just need to man up and put these two things together.
Let's do it! Got it. Ooh, I got a little more.
There we go. Yeah, go ahead. Bring it home. Yeah.
I think we're there now.
Yes.
It's in.
Yes.
Just clear out. We're coming through here with an engine. There's a transmission. Important stuff. Back up. Nice.
This is gonna be tight. All right.
This is good. This is good. We can manipulate this.
All right. Go back.
Beautiful.
Oh, it's
beautiful
gonna work.
monster. There you go. That's good. That's it.
Look at that. It's in there. It's not mounted, but look how good it fits. Plenty of clearance to the steering box, plenty of clearance from the suspension to our turbo. Not only are we about to double the power, this is lighter. Yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a good day. It's Wednesday, day 3.
The step one is just to mount the engine and transmission in place. That way, when we're building everything, we already know that's set up, and we can kind of like split up after that and do all these different tasks and just keep hustling.
Because it's hot here.
Yeah.
We don't want to be anywhere near each other because we stink.
Yeah.
All right, motor mounts, trans mounts.
First thing we need to do, get rid of this bar that's in the way of moving the transmission up to get our driveline angles better. Get the engine and transmission where it needs to be, and then make new mounts to hold it. So we are test fitting the drive shaft just to see if we can go higher on the transmission and the drive shaft not hit the floor.
That looks good. Motor looks good too.
Yeah, everything looks real happy up here.
Yeah, drive shaft's in.
Nice. So one of the things about invading a fully functioning shop like KSR Performance is you don't really know where anything is. It's always noisy, so you probably can't hear me all that well. So right now what's going on is Kevin is finalizing the driver's side motor mount. Tony and I are building braces that are gonna run from the knee bar under the dash down to the floor of the Charger because the car is very flimsy. And we can't make a new transmission mount right now because the only place to go is to the floor of this car. But if we bolt the trans to the floor of the car is gonna fold like a taco. Like, it's that bad. So I'm moving some of the wires we've got so that we can build our dash bars. Once we do that, then we can mount the trans. By then the motor's mounted, and at that point, it's all hands on deck on the motor side of things to do the fuel system, the hot side and the cold side of the turbo system, wiring, plumbing, all that stuff that we need to actually make this thing run. We're gonna be fine. Gonna be fine. Don't you worry. You and me, we're together on this. We got this. All right, so car's up in the air. Motor is mounted, but not 100%. Trans is just dangling. Right now, we're making little gussets out of 1/4-inch thick steel so we can brace the motor mounts we've made. Then we'll move on to the trans mount. Beautiful. That's not falling apart.
Nope.
Engine mounts are done. And to be honest, the transmission mount should have been done an hour ago, except this is the death metal Charger. You can't just put a part in without repairing 9 other things before you can actually put that part in. So right now, Kevin's repairing the floor so that we can take all these gusset plates and fortify the rust around the transmission so we can make a mount fit in there. I mean, this car's bad. That's how rusty it is. I don't care. I love it. It's gonna be amazing.
All right, the final piece of the puzzle for our engine and transmission mounts is this beauty. And to be honest, it's 1,000,000 times better than the last mount we had. So finally, the death metal Charger will be sitting on the ground, supporting its own 2JZ and T56 Magnum. It's awesome.
Look, now we're to the really fun part of the build. That 2J is in there. That T56 is in there. They are locked in. There's a drive shaft there. The clutch is together. Now we get to do cool stuff like put on shiny parts we got from eBay, like this header, stainless steel turbo header. Gas has come out of the motor into the turbo. That's good. But the wastegate should be here. Instead, it's down here. So all these gases that are going here now have to make a 180-degree turn and go down to go to the wastegate, which means probably when we don't want boost, this boost is gonna creep up on us. And whatever, we'll take it, you know? This thing's like 180 bucks on eBay, and you can't build it for that. You can't even buy the tubing for that. It's like $1,000 for the stainless steel tubing. So I'm gonna stop complaining. We're just gonna put it in and keep going.
Perfect.
The radiator's back in the car. It came out of a Ford Taurus, and I've got this 3-inch air-to-air intercooler that I'm gonna try to mock up right now. And yeah, please hold. I have to take the radiator back out of the car. Whoops. Oh yeah, this is gonna work. I like this. Oh, hello.
Ah! Woo! That one's hot. Still hot. Still hot in there.
Ah, right in my shoe. How's your feet?
Great.
Ah!
All right, I'm out.
Oh, dude. Car's so strong now.
Oh, yeah.
Man. All right, I am centered.
Very close.
High five.
Boom.
Nailed it. The intercooler's in.
Australian clutch.
Australian
Japanese
clutch?
motor.
Yeah.
American transmission.
We got a Ford Taurus radiator.
There you go.
We got Ford F-250 four-wheel drum brakes, Dodge Charger, Toyota Supermotor,
Yeah. Willie's rear.
Willys rear end.
It's end of day 3 here. We're rocking and rolling. The 2JZ is bolted in for good. The turbo manifold is on there. That's going to deliver a bunch of hot boost through our intercooler. It's going to come out cold, get crammed into that engine, and make like 1,700, like 500 horsepower. All right. Boom. Let's eat some beers.
Welcome to Florida. Those are long-tail Florida water dogs.
Water dogs. I like Georgia better, I gotta be honest. It's less sweaty and there's no long-tailed Florida water dogs. Is that what we're calling them? Water dogs, yeah.
I'm gonna get somebody to bring one by.
No.
No.
Check it out. That probably costs more than the whole car.
They're not that bad. Couple grand. It's the smallest turbo I would ever use on one of these engines.
Okay.
And it will make anywhere from 400 to over 900 wheel, depending on how hard you turn the screws. So we could easily blow the rods out of this thing with this turbo, no problem.
So if we put rods in this someday, we can turn the wick up and make 900.
Yeah. Will it survive burnouts?
So far it has,
Okay.
you know? All right, so if we put that on, then I can start making the charge tube from there to the intercooler.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go off and on a handful of times to figure out how I'm gonna weasel the oil drain out without hitting the manifold or getting so close to the manifold that it burns. Because a lot of people cheat turbo drain, like the turbos are like this, the turbos are like this, like, and they forget gravity needs to happen to get the turbo,
Yeah.
you know, to lubricate properly.
So I'm laying under here right now because I'm gonna lower this car. Joe Barry set this car up really low. That's why he did some of the suspension mods he made to it back in the 60s. The problem with that was our bell housing and our headers drug on the ground so bad that in order to drive the car on the street, we had to lift the car back up. Now, on this car, it's really easy to do. It has torsion bar springs for the front suspension. So by turning the adjuster, you can raise and lower the suspension real easy. Oh, that looks so much better. Precision turbo is in, so this side of the motor is now giving us lots of extra air. On this side of the motor, smaller changes. We have an aftermarket plenum. We have Holley injectors that are about 4 times the size of the stock ones. These are 330 cc's. These are 1,050 cc's. They look a little different than they will if you just buy the injector straight from Holley's. Real Street, they've fit an adapter here. The adapter will go into the 2JZ intake, and then we have a Radium Auto fuel rail that's really, really nice. This part, combined with the extensive rust weight reduction program of the Death Metal Charger, means this thing is a flyweight car, ready to fly through the air anywhere, anytime. So I'm gonna put these in right now.
All right, so with all the stuff going on up front, I decided to come back here and start kind of getting ready to science out the fuel system. We're gonna use a small electric pump hooked to the bottom of the large tank to feed this tank And then we're gonna have this very capable Holley dual fuel pump module inside of this tank. Now, why do we need all that complexity? Well, with fuel injection cars, if you cannot keep fuel at the bottom of the fuel pump, say this gets down to a half a tank and they turn a corner, well, all the fuel goes to one side of the tank, the car's gonna shut off. That doesn't race very well when that happens. So this setup here, call it a surge tank, and then no matter what they're doing, short of going upside down, this tank should have plenty of fuel in it and keep the engine fueled at all times.
It's time for the final turbo install. Header came off one more time. I'm gonna put this 12 PSI setup precision turbo wastegate on this thing before I drop it in, just because it's a little bit easier. I'm gonna put the exhaust housing on it and then bring the entire turbo with the center cartridge in from the front and tighten that down. This is the way it goes.
It's getting real now. We have shiny parts here, shiny part over there. I love this car again.
Throttle body almost installed. A throttle body that normally would end up on a Honda is now on a Dodge.
Man, if Joe Barry could see us now, right?
Cry his eyes out.
Yeah.
All right, so once I started trying to fit the surge tank that I had back into the car back here, realized it was a little bit too big. Took a slice off the side of it, and now it's gonna fit between the fuel tank and the roll cage. And then I'll weld a bolt so we've got a spot and still get a good ground for the battery.
So we're gonna run this engine with a Motec M130. It's a small piece of hardware. It's got killer knock control that can tell which cylinder is knocking and only do timing retard on that cylinder. It also has the ability to control variable cam timing, which that's what led us into this project, was Mike wanted to have the ability to have a variable intake cam, which will spool the turbocharge sooner. We have a wiring harness from Wiring Specialties, which is gonna go from the ECU to all the sensors. It also includes a fuse block, so we're just gonna supply it with power and ground, and out of that fuse block, we'll be able to power the cooling fan, the fuel pumps. We also have an AEM 7-inch dash, which is configurable, so you can do things like if the Motec sees the engine go lean or go hot or have an oil pressure issue, all that stuff just comes up on the display, flashing lights, big alarms, get you to stop and pay attention to what's happening before you ruin an engine. It's all configurable there, so.
Charger is blazing along. Kevin's in the back here, getting the fuel system right. Finnegan is in here. The Wiring Specialties harness is now spread throughout the car. He's working on installing a modern AEM dash, which is insane. Joe Barry would have never seen that coming.
Let me tell you a little something about wiring. It sucks. There's no air circulating in here. I can smell myself right now. It's not good.
Jay's up here working on boost control, finishing up wiring. We've already got cooling hoses mocked up. The turbo's on for good. I put the coils in. Most of the engine harness is already plugged in and working awesome. I think this car might drive tomorrow, which would be amazing.
Oh, God, the wiring's going so good. I'm upside down, surrounded by rust, patching together wiring that's substandard to begin with. It'll all be worth it when it makes 2JZ noises.
All right, well, we're to the point on our project where we need to finish our intercooler system, plumb the turbo over to the throttle body, except they don't exactly make a kit for a 68 Charger with a 2JZ in it. So we're gonna chop up some stuff, see if we can make some pieces with a bunch of different pieces, weld it all together, and see if we can make something happen.
We had to overnight all these race parts from Japan. It's all intercoolers. Man, we are getting along, huh?
Can you plug the fuel pressure sensor in so I can just verify it's there? And that's a 100 PSI sensor, right?
Yeah, I believe it is, yeah.
The oil pressure was a 200.
A 200?
Yeah.
Kevin got the charge pipe all welded up. He's a pretty spectacular welder. We did some cutting and measurement, kind of like a teamwork. We just have to see if it fits. I believe that it will. Shove that back. Perfect. Boom.
So here's the deal, right? The budget for this is all over the map. The one thing we couldn't skimp on was the EFI system because this is a variable valve timing motor. We want that, all right? That will give us really good low end and mid-range torque. For the kind of driving I want to do in this car, we needed that. So beyond the fact that the engine's going to run better with it, it's an awesome diagnostic tool. You know, before we ever start the motor, Jay is going to know whether the coils are working, whether the firing order is right, whether the injectors are firing right. Like all that we know before we ever push the start button. So I've never used it before, but I'm excited to just learn as we go.
So we just bumped the pumps for a second just to check for fuel leaks. And no lines are leaking, but the injectors are leaking, which could potentially be like a real big pain in the butt. There were some machining issues. One of the injectors didn't fit exactly great, so.
What do you got? I have 40 pounds.
You got a leak at the gauge. The 90 going into the FPR.
Okay, that's easy. We can tune that up. Well, let's fix this fuel leak because we're going to put more gas on the ground. So the throttle blade is pretty closed on purpose because it doesn't have any oil in it. So it's going to start up with low engine speed. Once it starts making oil pressure, we'll mess with the idle, but it may stall when we start it up. I don't think anything about it.
Okay. Whoa!
Oh, what?
Whoa.
That was pretty good.
Pretty good.
Dude, that was like
pretty good.
Pretty good.
Needs a little more idle screw.
Well, I want to wait till it's got oil pressure before I do that.
Not a single thing exploded
This
yet.
is so different.
So somebody's going to have to get in there and work the throttle, but just try not to like rev the engine up until it's got oil pressure.
Go ahead.
Hang on.
I think he said floor it.
Did not say floor it. All right, go ahead.
I heard send it. Oh, it's alive! It is alive. Wait, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. Real quick, all the metal shavings, let's vacuum them and blow them because they're going to go in the turbo.
Hey, not for nothing, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, come on. Try again.
Yep.
There we go.
There it is.
Yeah. So that sound does not match that fender, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Death Metal Charger is running for the first time with that Toyota 2JZ motor in it, and I am super pumped. It's been a crazy grind, and I've just been like, had my head in each project as we go along and not really thinking about it. But now I'm gonna take a step back and hear it, and it's awesome. I wanna hear it on the dyno, but then I wanna take it out and have some fun with it.
This is so hot right here.
Is it hot air? Okay.
No, it's cold.
Cold air.
So it's got air in it. The radiator hose is higher than the radiator
Yeah,
cap.
we could jack it way up.
Jacket way up.
Hey, Mike.
Thank you.
There you go. I was like, what?
Look at that. The world's first 2JZ swap charger on a Friday in Florida is alive. And now all we got to do is get an air bubble out of the cooling system and go right next door to Chassis Dyno it to find out how much power we can make while keeping the rods in the motor. Woo! I'm literally going to live my life a quarter of a mile at a time. Look at the flappity flap flap.
That's perfect.
Up we go. This is it. 5 days of wrenching. One lost big block that only made 325 horsepower to the rear tires. And now we're gonna see what our 2JZ swap charger can do. I'm hoping for 500.
I'm just hoping for fireballs. This thing is dope. Send it to space.
It's kind of loud. Where are you shifting at? 9,000? Something came out of the front.
A lot of sounds happening.
So what was it doing?
It just made too much boost.
370 horsepower, 419 foot-pounds of torque. How much boost was that?
28.
28?
It's too much.
Well, that's quite a bit. What RPM was that?
4,700.
That was surprising and wild. Jay just went for it. It made 28 pounds of boost, and he lifted at 4,600 RPM, and it had already made 370 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque. This motor will rev over 7,000, so we're disconnecting one of the reference hoses to the wastegate. Hopefully that will calm it down, make a little less boost. but then we can run the motor to 7,000 and see what it makes for power. Oh my God, dude. The flapper goes nuts. So it made 403 horsepower, 401 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah, 400 at the tires with a little shakedown.
About 15 pounds of boost.
That's pretty good.
Tailoring off up top to like...
It made 400, 400.
That's cool.
I like it. Run it again!
More HPs, please.
Oh my God, that sounded so good. I'm out. That's what I'm talking about.
Wow. 518 horsepower?
It was really screaming up there.
All right, can we compare this to the old motor?
Yep, green line is the old engine.
What a pile.
Almost 200.
Almost 200 more horsepower.
That's wild.
Let's look at how much faster you can go with the same gearing. All right, so the old engine, 4th gear was done at 95 miles an hour.
Okay.
This engine can go all the way to 120 in 4th gear.
I don't know that I want to do that. This could fly right off the car. We just picked up nearly 200 horsepower with a junkyard 2JZ that weighs less than that big old iron lump we took out of there.
Yeah, and it sounds bananas.
Yeah.
Junkyard motor making like 600 horsepower.
Yeah, with 2 less cylinders.
It's awesome.
What are we gonna do right now, though?
Right now, we're gonna do some burnouts. It's gonna rev to 9 million RPM. It's gonna be turbo spool screaming. It's gonna make blow-off sounds go and it's gonna blow out fireballs.
That's 4 things.
Yeah, can your old cast iron V8 do that with a carburetor?
It's never happened on Roadkill.
Here we go.
Let's go. You drive. I'll
All right.
watch.
I'm going. Yeah. Let's go.
And as promised, Death Metal Charger doing 2JZ fireball burnouts. Go for it! Oh my God, look at that. It was so violent.
A lot of smoke in here.
It did lay 2-wheel peel, though. I'm surprised.
Going at the speed of light, baby.
Dude, the rear end doesn't sound great.
No?
No, but it did lay tracks with both tires for a little while.
You see that brake? That's where I shifted in a second.
Dude, when the boost hits,
It is wild.
I bet it's a 10-second car and probably pulls the front wheels.
You want to do another one?
Yeah, do it again, dude. Let's go.
All right.
You should start in second.
I can, but I was worried about breaking this diff in pieces.
We got to find out. And plus, there'll be more smoke if it doesn't break.
Oh.
The noises are just glorious.
I can't see anything.
It still runs. Man, shout out to Willys for that rear end. Still alive.
Yeah, when this thing comes up on the pipe, dude. Woo!
Dude, it was so violent.
It's like, yeah! Woo! It is wild.
This is perhaps the most successful episode of Roadkill ever. At some point, not tonight, we are gonna road trip this and we are gonna duke it out with Dulcich and Freiburger and the General Mayhem. You guys have asked for it, it's happening. Death Metal versus Mayhem on a future episode of Roadkill.
Stay tuned for that.
lot. 7-Eleven is the spot. Bikes with wings and shiny things, and lions, tigers, bears, samurai. I wonder if you know how to live in Tokyo. If you